questions for you. And yes?
Can you repeat your name again?
Tim Loesch.
Okay.
And I don't know, do we have anything else that we want to go over here, Melissa?
It's pretty much just any questions that they would have for you.
Okay, great. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and then my coaching experience. Have any of you gotten to see my resume?
No.
Okay, well, I'll just tell it to you then. First, I grew up in upstate New York, playing every sport possible as a young boy, and moved to the Carolinas in my teenage years and continued to play a bunch of sports. But at that time I had to give up volleyball because they had boys volleyball in New York but not in North and South Carolina. So I had to give it up for a little while then. But when I went to college I was able to play again on a men's club team. And through that I made a lot of friends and got to play against and with some of the top players in the area. And through that, I got some contacts to start coaching. A friend of mine had a high school team and needed an assistant, so I was glad to help. Hi. And after helping him for 3 years, we had a lot of success and came in third in the state a couple times. I decided I wanted to coach my own team and got a high school team and a club team and had a lot of success doing that. And at the same time, I was working in business for 5 or 6 years, so I was just doing that stuff on nights and weekends and loving it, and loved it so much that after that time I decided I might want to make a career change and do what I did as my moonlighting job as my full-time job. So I got an opportunity to coach at Peace College, which was a women's D3 school, and was an assistant there, had a very good mentor, and helped that team to its first 2 winning seasons ever. And from there I got the opportunity to coach at Limestone College, which is a Division II school in South Carolina, and took over that program that was struggling. In fact, they were the worst in Division II. Their record before I got there was 15 and 157, so their average season was like 2-20. And in my second year, we had our first winning season there and continued to have a lot of success and go to the title match in the conference 3 out of the next 6 years. From that opportunity sprung the opportunity to coach at Division I. My last stop was at Stetson University in Florida, a small Division I school, and kind of repeated my success there. They were near the bottom of Division I. And it took me an extra year. It took us 3 years before we had our first winning season, but was able to do that. And now I'm here, hoping to coach you young ladies and help you improve as players and help your team have success. And be happy to take any questions you have about me personally or volleyball questions. Yes?
Okay, so as you may know, I mean, I'm sure you know, we've had a losing season. And what do you think you can bring to the table to enhance our program?
Very good question.
You don't know it's going to be this type of
Because I've never had a losing season, and then we have a losing season, and I don't want a losing season anymore. So.
Well, first, I like that you want to improve and change and grow, because a lot of people have a hard time changing and growing. And obviously you have to do some things differently. Some of the things that I bring, one, I'm a good recruiter. I know that you guys need to bring in a couple more players for next year, and I've got some contacts and ideas of people that might be able to help the team. And then you're going to be graduating 4 or 5 right after that, and need to have some people in place ready to come in and continue the tradition that we establish next year and win and improve and elevate the program. So that's something I'm very good at, and I can evaluate talent over film or live, and I have a lot of connections with high school club, junior colleges, things like that. So I can definitely help in that regard. But I think the biggest thing would be helping you improve as players. I'm a really good trainer of skills and can help each of you improve whatever position you play and all your skills, not just, oh, I want to become a better attacker. You know, it's really a team sport. We need to be able to do all the skills well to be successful. And last but not least, kind of the other thing that I think I do well is help with team unity and just teamwork. It's definitely a team sport, probably more than maybe any other sport. It's really, you know, you can't have a weak spot. You depend on everybody doing their part, from serving to passing to setting to hitting to blocking, you name it. Everything relies on the skill before or after it. And that's something that I've enjoyed doing, is sharing my knowledge and helping players improve their technique, helping them communicate better as teammates, helping them play as a team better, you know, whether it's team defense or team offense or things like that. And I guess something I could do that's related to that is, I was going to save this for the end, but I'll pass that now and let you look at it as we take some other questions. I've got some information that I wanted to share with you about maybe how we could improve this team, if I can find it in here. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. I have never seen you girls play, unfortunately. And that's important, and something I want to do during this spring is watch you play in some scrimmages to see you know, what you individually need to work on. But you might have to share with the girl next to you. I don't think I have quite enough of these. But I looked at the stats on the conference website to get an idea of maybe what we would need to work on. And just want you to look at them for a while. We'll talk about them in a minute. But if somebody else had a question, I'd like to field that and maybe save this for when we run out of questions. But I can see you're all very interested in it, so I'm glad I brought it. Yes.
How do you run your offense? Like, do you run fast, high balls?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd like everybody to really open your ears here and hear this. I like to run our offense as fast as we consistently, wait, you've already closed your ears. You only heard part of it. I'd like to run our offense as fast as we can consistently pass, set, and hit. So if we can't pass well, we can't run a very fast offense. If we can't set very well, unless it's a perfect pass, you know, maybe we can only run fast sometimes. And if our hitters can't hit a fastball, well, it doesn't make much sense to do that and make errors. So every team I've coached runs at different speeds. I've run some super fast offenses. I've run some slow offenses. I think if you girls look at University of Texas or University of Southern California, two of the best programs in the country, they run a really slow offense. So it's not, oh, fast offense is going to suddenly solve all our problems. It might help some certain things, but they do that because maybe they can't consistently pass well, or their setters aren't capable of consistently setting that fastball in the right location. So until I see you play, I can't fully answer that except in the general sense. So hopefully you heard all of that, and not just the first part. I like to run it fast as we possibly, or can consistently do all the skills. So really, that's up to you girls, you know, and how hard you're going to work on passing and setting and speeding up your approach and doing it consistently. Because if we can only, you know, we can do it, but half the time we make an error and half the time we score, are we going to win a ball game? No. So I know it's not exactly the answer you wanted, but it's an honest answer, and hopefully you can understand that. Any other good questions like that?
What kind of do you vary per team?
It varies a little bit per team, but at the college level, I run multiple defenses so that we can change it to fit what the other team does. I can give you their names and kind of what they're like, just briefly. A lot of my defenses are based on perimeter defense, where you've got people deep and on the sidelines, and you read the tips and have to run through and get them. But I also have a couple variations of that where we commit somebody to cover tips. So it's perimeter, but maybe the off blocker is covering tips, and we kind of give them the sharp cross to the tee and see if they can hit it. Or it might be the line person covers tips, and we see if they can hit over the block and hit high line, but we've got everything else covered and we've got tips covered. And then we'll learn a rotation defense as well, where we rotate somebody over to the line and somebody up to defend. And then I've got a couple of variations off of that. But those are probably the top four or the first four that we'll learn, so that we can take away what the other team does best. And you know, that's again something I'd like to see you play, to see if we're a fast team that can pick up tips without having to commit players to it, or maybe we've got a real good libero and we just want to funnel all the block and make them hit the ball at her. So really I want to adapt it some to our personnel, but I want you girls to be able to run multiple defenses, so if something's not working, we can just change it. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was like looking weird.
I know, that's like really funny.
How about the camera person? Are you still engaged in this? Do you have a question?
I've got one.
Okay.
Why'd you leave Florida is where you last were?
Yeah, my last job was at Stetson University, and to give you the quick version of it, a lot of good things happened there. I loved my time there, and I wish them well. But right after I got my job there, they added football as well.
Oh.
And when they did that, they decided to add sand volleyball as well. And guess who got to coach that team? Yes. So I was coaching one team in the fall, a different one in the spring. And I did that for 3 years and enjoyed it a lot, but it was very challenging. And not only was it challenging for me, it was challenging for the players and the team, because I couldn't be two places at once. So off season, maybe we didn't get to do as much as we wanted. And meeting with players and building relationships, instead of having 16 young ladies, it's suddenly 32, and I've got half the time, you know, available to be with them. So after 3 years, my contract expired there. I had a 3-year contract, and I talked about those things with my supervisor and with the AD and tried to find a solution where either we split the program or maybe got another assistant or something like that, and we just couldn't come up with a good solution that both parties felt would work. So that's something I'm excited about here, is getting to coach one team and devote, you know, my time to that fully. And I think as good as I've done before this coaching, it's been with 2 teams, so I just feel like I'm going to do even better being able to devote my time to just one team.
How many girls do you usually prefer on your team? Like, what's a good number for you?
I like 12 to 15, and why I like that is 3 reasons. First is I like competition. I like players to have to be pushed by their teammates to earn their playing time, and I think that helps players improve. I think that 2, depth is important. During the season, somebody's going to get hurt, somebody's going to get sick, somebody's just going to have a bad game. And for the team, the best thing when one of those 3 or all 3 of those happens is we have somebody that's trained in that position, can step right in, not miss a beat, and help the team be successful without having to play kids out of position or things like that. And to do those 2 things, you've got to have not just 12, probably 14 players or so. And last but not least, for the second half of most of my practices, I like to do a lot of 6-on-6 training, not just playing, but maybe game situations, maybe working on the skills we developed the first half of practice where we're doing drills. Now let's do them in a game situation, game speed against real opponents so that we really burn those in. And to do that, to play competitive 6-on-6, again, you don't just need 12, you've got to probably have about 14 so that, you know, players aren't playing out of position.
Sorry. So if we were practicing and like as a whole, like we were all just kind of like slacking, like not having a great practice, like how would you handle that?
Coaching style or
one thing that I've always found works with every team is conditioning, and it's something we need to do anyways. So whether it's, you know, losers run some wind sprints, or, you know, if we can't do this drill and get 10 in a row or whatever it is, we'll do some burpees or whatever it is. I think that that's a good reminder to focus, and B, it's something we have to do anyways so that we keep our conditioning, we keep our strength up during the long season. And whether we, you know, do it at the beginning or the end, or we have to do it in the middle of practice, doesn't really matter. That usually translates to most athletes I've coached. But there's, you know, other things that we can use to help motivate the team, whether it's, you know, pep talks talking about our rivalry with, you know, whoever we're playing next, or you know, maybe giving some of the captains or upper class a chance to lead, like pull them aside and say, look, we're having a bad practice, need you to try and step up and motivate the team and see what they have to say or do. I think that's good for leadership development. And you know, sometimes it's just a team effort. We might just call a timeout in practice, just like you would in a game, and say, you know, we're losing right now. You know, we're not playing anybody. We're losing. We've got to change this if we want to be able to do this in a game when we get behind. You know, what are we going to do right now so that when we get in a game in this situation, we can be successful? How can we turn our heads around? Because every player's different and every team's different dynamic. It may be, let's tell a joke. Who's got a good joke? It may be, I might need to yell at you a little bit and get you motivated that way. But I don't know you all well enough to answer that just yet. Yes. That's a good question. When I was growing up, I was fortunate enough to go on 2 trips around the country, staying at state parks. So we'd go for 3 months over the summer and just go to every state and stay at 4, 5, 6 different state parks, and came to Texas twice for about 5 or 6 days each time and got to see a bit of it. But more recently, as I've become a college coach, for about the past 10 years, I've been coming to Texas to recruit. So I've gotten several junior college players. I've gotten several players, you know, seniors through high school and club, mostly in the Austin, Dallas, and Houston areas for them. But Texas is the second best state for volleyball talent, so I'm excited that I've already got some connections here. And I love the weather here. I'm a warm weather person, so I like that. And I've also got, my dad is retired in Mexico, so this puts me and him a lot closer than the East Coast. What you see as you looked at these stats, just anything, starting with blocks, what do you guys see or think about your ranking of 4th and 1.82 blocks per set? This is just in conference matches. I thought it was pretty good myself. I think that the difference between you and the top teams is not very much. So, you know, on paper you appear to be a pretty good blocking team, and I'm pretty happy with that. I don't know what you guys think about it, but again, I'd have to see some film. It might be you just got lucky and you got terrible technique. I don't know. You know, that's looks to me like one of your strengths. And anybody want to comment on opponent's hitting percentage? Well, yawning's a party foul, so you got to say something about it.
It was just. Oh, sorry.
I feel like we switched up our defense a lot throughout the season. So it's kind of hard to get used to like a set, like whether it was players or the way we ran our defense, it was always changing. So I feel like that might have something to do.
I've got a question. Do you guys feel like other teams scored more on like off-speed shots, tips, or rolls, or more on hard swings?
Tips, and then like sometimes the block wasn't there, and so yeah.
We have a lot of single blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like almost a single block on the outside a lot. I mean, the blocks on the middle is good, but I feel like I was left alone like a lot, like on the outside.
They were almost there. We saw it. They were almost there.
They were trying.
Yeah, it was a good effort there. They were still like trying.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus on this, so I want to talk more about the team, because it's not just the block and that makes up the opponent's hitting percentage.
Yeah.
It's everything from the serve. Did we serve tough enough to get them off the net, not assist them? Is the block set up well? Are defenders where they need to be? Can they dig a hard hit? And then can our setter chase down maybe a not perfect dig? So there's a lot of things that go into that. But it does look like something that we need some work on. It's not terrible, but it's not one of our strengths. Other teams hit better against us than we hit against them. If you look on the other side, our hitting percentage was 168, make it 195 against us. But it's not terrible, but it's something we might need to tweak a couple of things, whether it's our floor defense or closing the block. What about service aces? Somebody comment on what they think they see there.
I feel like our serve isn't aggressive enough sometimes. Maybe that's it.
We would either serve like right to the passers or not in the seam.
We're not very accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would serve it out.
We also didn't tend to practice serving extremely aggressively. A lot of times we would just box to serve in. So I think a lot of people got scared in the game to serve aggressively because if they serve out, it was awesome. So a lot of people tried to play
Well, my philosophy on serving is if you just get it in, it's the same as missing a serve. And in fact, it's worse, because the other team gets to pass, set, and crush. And emotionally and psychologically, that's hard to deal with. I'd much rather serve 10 balls, top speed, and maybe miss 2 or 3, which isn't great, 70 or 80%, but maybe we get an ace or 2 and we get them out of system. Or we get an overpass that doesn't show up on stats. Or we get a free ball out of it, which doesn't count as an ace, but it's almost a free point for us. So I'm a big believer in serving aggressively, and that can be hitting spots, maybe serving short, or in the seam between their 2 weaker passers, or it could be high velocity. It could be jump serving or jump floating with a lot of speed. And I'll use a radar gun to chart our speed so we know how hard and how fast we're hitting our serves, and set some goals on that. And I'm okay with some errors as long as we're getting not just some aces, but some overpasses and free balls or down balls out of our serve. So it's not just about aces. I think that's not a good judge of how well we serve. I chart, are we getting overpasses? Are we getting, free points or potentially easy points from free balls directly from our serve? Digs. One of our defenders, preferably. One of our liberos or DSs. Tell me what you think about where we're at there.
I think most of the time, like since the block wasn't there, they couldn't read, and then didn't read the hitter.
Thank you, middle.
And then
You got it. It's on you.
and then we would just read the hitter wrong at times. At times it would be like 1 step in front of us or on the side. And so,
I don't think he does like one time, but I feel like from watching, I feel like we don't communicate very well. I don't know if Paul said that earlier,
but I feel like we don't communicate a lot, you know, so it's like, oh, and then like both people kind of go for it, but then it's like, okay, she's got it, no, she's got it, you know, it's not like,
If the ball went in the split between the
yeah.
or the whatever, the background, we didn't know who would go, like who would get it. Everybody would just kind of like pause.
Or like look at each other, or like.
Or if they went and then we
assume.
got close to each other, we back off.
Yeah. And also, I kind of feel like some of that was also because, well, at least from what I saw, like I said, I felt like as far as the coach was, never really knew exactly what balls were ours. Like at other places I played, like my coach was, from here on, that's yours. From here on, that's yours. And I feel like here it's kind of just like, if you can get it, go for it. And I understand that philosophy, but I think it's important for people to know what their job is.
Yeah, to speak to that, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I think a lot of people too, there was a lot of hesitation at times, like between different people, or if they thought that they could get there, and they couldn't, there were people that would sometimes like not necessarily believe in themselves enough, like to go after it. Sometimes when they would question their reading, maybe. I'm not really sure how to put it, but I think there was a lot of questioning as well. And if everybody had just gone for things and just committed, I think we would have conflict as well.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things I can do to help with that. One is I like to get colored tape early in the season and lay out the areas of responsibility, because you're not just covering a spot, you're covering an area. But that gets tricky with multiple defenses, right? Because that changes. So it's important that you study our team book that you'll get and you know all those things. And we'll go over it on the court, but we'll also look at it in film and on a chalkboard and things like that. So hopefully you can learn all those different areas of responsibility. And the other thing is I like to stagger our defensive positions so that everybody knows who's crossing in front and who's crossing in back. So when there are two players going for the ball, they know Sally's going forward and Jane's going behind. And they get comfortable and confident. We'll practice that, and you may do it without a ball 100 times so that you get used to that and you know that you're not going to run into each other or anything like that. So there's some things I can do to help with that, but there's other times where we may be running one of the hybrid defenses. Kind of the opposite is true, is we may only have two defenders deep and somebody covering tips. It may be you go for everything, but you're far enough apart that you don't really have to worry about running into them. But yes.
What's your coaching style during a game on the bench, either winning or losing? Like if we're down or we're up.
I don't really look at the score that much. I want you young ladies to play your best every point, whether we're ahead or behind. And that's something I'll ask you girls to do at times. Don't look at the scoreboard. Just play your best. Right now, that'll be good enough. So first, the score doesn't usually matter to me. It may be, oh, it's a close game, we're near the end, I want to call timeout so we can run this play or something like that. But in general, it's more, are we giving the effort, are we doing what we practiced, you know, are we communicating, doing those things. And regardless of the score, if we're not communicating, call timeout and, you know, get us to communicate and work together. But my demeanor normally is calm and confident, because I feel like practice is where we prepare for the games. You know, there's not a whole lot I need to do at that point. You know, you already know what you need to do, and we've practiced it, and we've done it in game situations. I want to just see you guys play. I will give you feedback a lot. I think that's part of my job, especially individual players, is, you know, you may come out or be subbing with somebody, or I may walk up to the sideline and say, Sally, you need to make sure you're getting in defensive position. You're out of position. You need to, you know, remember the blue lines we set up. You've got to get there and help them. But it also may be, Jane, you're hitting line effectively. Keep doing that until they stop you. So it might be critical. It might be a positive. But I'm going to give you a lot of feedback. And I know some players don't like that as much. So I might not do it as much because I don't want to be a distraction during a game, but it's something that you as athletes need to be able to take either criticism or tactical information during a game and use it and not let it be a distraction too. in general, don't raise my voice a lot, but I will. Like if, we're not communicating, I may, let you guys know loudly that we have to do it. Or if we need a cheerleader, I might start, jumping up and down and getting excited and doing what we need to do to get the bench involved. And, again, it depends on the player and it depends on the team dynamic. What can I do to help you be successful? It's not about me or what I want or what I like. It's, what can I do to help the team? Kind of a combination of three things. First, practice is what I look at, and that's where we'll be competing, whether it's hitting drills or charting passing, or when we're playing 6-on-6, one setter wins with both teams all the time. We'll look at some stats and scores in game or in practices. It's kind of the first thing. And then in games, we'll look at that too. Some people may just have a bad game and we need to try somebody else, or it may be that the other team's game planned well against a particular player and taken away her favorite shot, and we need to try somebody else to see if they can do better. But some of it's also stats too in a game. It may be one player's just serving great. She's got 4 aces and we didn't mean to leave her in there to serve, but we did, and she's effective. Well, we're gonna stick with that, even though maybe our plan coming in was to do something else, and I forgot to make the sub. Well, it worked out. We're gonna stick with that, and that's something that you players need to remember. I know all of you want to play, or you wouldn't be here, right? But how many girls get to play at a time?
6.
How many do we have in this room?
13.
About 12. So that's like half the team is going to be on the bench at times, or more. And there's going to be a lot of players that don't play as much as they like. And the thing you need to remember is take advantage of your opportunities. Don't let that get in your head. And I'm only playing 3 rotations. I want to play 6. Well, when you get in there to play your 3, make the most of it. And even if you're just going in to serve, well, guess what? You make a good serve and we score a point, you get to play another point. And you make a dig and we score again, you get to play another point. And you keep doing that enough, coach is going to see, oh wow, well she can not just serve, but she can pass and defend, and maybe we need to get her more time today. The other thing is you need to think about the team. This is not an individual sport. This is not tennis or golf or something like that. This is about the team being successful, not somebody getting an award or setting a record or something like that. It's ultimately about how this group works together and sacrifices something, whether it's playing time or playing out of position or whatever it is, so that this team can be successful. And if you can grasp that, eventually you'll understand that all my decisions as a coach are based on the program being successful, not the player, not even the team, but the program being successful. So not only do I look at stats and stuff like that, I look at who works hard in practice, who's always going to work hard, no matter what, whether we're ahead, behind, or we're having a good day or not. Who's going to be vocal and communicate with their teammates all the time, whether they're having a good day or we're ahead or behind. Who's going to be a leader when we have adversity, and who's maybe not. So there's a lot of other things besides just stats and scores that I'll look at, because as a coach, I'd rather lose a game or two doing stuff the right way and building to win the conference tournament, because we're doing the right things, we're working hard, we're communicating, we're doing what coach wants, than to maybe win a couple games early because maybe there's a bad apple that has a little better stats or something like that, but is not communicating or not doing what coach wants. And just from my 20 years of coaching, Most matches are won by these three things. Which team has more kills? Which team has more assists, which is almost directly the same? And which team hits for a higher hitting percentage? And again, I'm not trying to throw the hitters under the bus. This is, did we pass good enough to run a fast offense or have more than one option? You know, did we set well enough in the right locations to give our hitters a chance? Did our hitters execute the shots that we've practiced? Did we cover our hitters to get an extra swing if we get blocked? You know, there's a lot of little things. Like covering your hitters doesn't show up in any stat. But imagine if, you know, every time we got blocked, we really didn't. We got an extra swing because we had two people there covering our hitter. So first, on kills, you can see where we rank. And basically, we're behind the leaders by 2.5 to 3 kills per set. That's 3 points right there. That, you know, you went back and looked at some of the close sets and games. What if we could, you know, turn 2 of those into kills instead of errors? Or we covered 2 of them and got 2 more swings. You know, would we win those close sets? Assists are very closely related to kills, but where are some times where we can get a kill and not get an assist? Overpass. Okay, yeah. Overpass is probably the primary one. You know, we can get some more kills, easy kills, if we just serve tougher. And again, there's some other ways, like maybe setters dumping the ball on 2 and things like that. There's some other ways to score without getting assists, but you know, that's something we have to think of any way we can improve and work on it to get more kills, to get more assists.